Whitlock and Wiley. Greg Jennings is back. We're joined now by Fox NFL analyst Mark Schlereth. Time now for a big story. Let's move to the Cowboys, whose standoff with Ezekiel Elliott is heating up. Zeke is reportedly headed to Mexico instead of the Cowboys training camp, but Jerry Jones isn't giving an inch, signing veteran running back Alfred Morris and taking a strong public stand about Zeke's importance to the team.
You don't have to have a rushing champion to win a Super Bowl, but Emmett was the first one to do it. And that's one of the dilemmas at running back, is that the league knows that you can win Super Bowls and not have the Emmitt Smith back there or not have Zeke back there. Consequently, when we are looking and putting Zeke's contract in place, we've got to realize that the ultimate goal is to win the Super Bowl. And so you've got to do all of the things along with having Zeke that allow you to have other players so that you can win the Super Bowl. And that's what we're going through.
This escalated very quickly in my view.
24 hours later.
Yeah. I was like, August 6th, he'll get heated.
Yeah.
And the pressure's already coming, and I think they're probably frustrated that, like, hey, man, we don't have to redo your contract. We've offered you something, and you haven't responded at all. Jerry seems a little irritated. Is this a mistake?
I like what Jerry's doing, and I don't even think he's irritated. I think he's just reminding Zeke and reminding maybe a lot of people who are having their own opinions about how he runs his franchise, the difference between value and price. I don't think a lot of people understand what the difference is. Here's the difference. Value is how important you are to us. Oh, you're so valuable. God, everything runs through you, Zeke. But the price is, how much am I going to pay for that based on the cap of your position? Your position is deemed invaluable in terms of today's NFL going to the Super Bowl. Patriots model obviously comes to our example, but other teams have won without rushing champions. And it's amazing that Jerry has to remind people this, because a lot of times they don't know which way to take Jerry. A lot of people say, hey, Jerry, stop talking about your 3 Super Bowls. It's a different era. So Jerry talks about this new era. And then they want to say, hey, Jerry, but the last time you won a Super Bowl is when you had a rushing champion. Pay the guy. And Jerry's like, which way do you want it? Oh, I get it. I'm going to look at today's NFL, respect his value, but not pay the price. And that's where they are in this negotiation.
Yeah, for me, I don't mind what Jerry Jones is saying. Is he putting the pressure on Ezekiel Elliott? Yes, but let me get to your point. You don't need a rushing champion when you have a guy like Tom Brady, a guy like Patrick Mahomes, a guy like Aaron Rodgers. These guys have been known to carry the weight offensively in the passing game. Has Dak Prescott been known to do that? No, but he is better when an Ezekiel Elliott is present, because he not only helps them establish the running game, but he helps them continue with the passing game because of his screenplay, his catching ability out of the backfield. So it's not a matter of, is Jerry Jones putting the pressure on Zeke? He is, and rightfully so, because contractually, look, kid, we don't have to pay you right now, and we want this to last and sustain us for years to come. And in order for that to happen, you got to take a little bit of less chunk than what you really want to get.
Yeah, I mean, everybody wants to get paid, but in this position that he's in right now, and I understand from Ezekiel Elliott's standpoint, what leverage do you have? I mean, as a player, the only thing you can really do is to hold out, to kind of flex your muscles and hold out. And I think one of the things that's going on right now is Jerry Jones is, he's got a history of paying his guys. You look at all the guys that have a $10 million plus cap hit on their roster. He's got a history of doing that. But I think there's part of him right now that he's flexing his muscles, because he's saying, man, how many times have I backed you up? You've been suspended. You've been called to the principal's office. I've fought the commissioner on your behalf. Like, meet me here at camp. Meet me, and we can work something out. But you're, they're in no obligation. He's got 2 years left on his contract. They could franchise him for another 2 years if they wanted to.
Yes.
So I understand that the only leverage we have as players is to say, I'm not coming in. But the bottom line is, I don't know if it's the right move for Ezekiel Elliott now, based upon the lack of leverage that he has.
I'm going to add this to the conversation. I think if you really listen to what Jerry's saying, and this is why I'm now going to jump in, it's not a mistake, because what I think Jerry is really saying replace Ezekiel Elliott's name and put Dak Prescott's name in there and listen to what Jerry's saying. I think he's more talking to Dak because Dak is who there's pressure on to get done first. Zeke's not up for 2 years. They can franchise him. I think Jerry's real words, he's using Zeke as an excuse to communicate to Dak about, hey, man, we got to build a whole team. And I think if you take everything he says and apply it to Dak, that's who I think he's communicating with and trying to put real pressure on. I'm saying the same thing to Zeke that I'm saying to you, Dak. We all have to eat off this salary cap pie, and we're all not going to be happy.
Well, it's a muscular move in terms of his intentions is to speak to more than just one person. So you do one thing, but a lot of people understand and get the message. That's a smart play if you're Jerry Jones. I think a smarter play is him actually doing his own homework and research and reminding Ezekiel Elliott, did you watch the NFL last year? Have you watched since you've been in the league? Okay, how many playoff games have we won when all you guys been together? For whatever reason. One, right? Okay, respect. How did it end for us last year? Not so well. Who do we lose to? A team that what? That team didn't have their favorite receiver in Cooper Kupp. That team didn't have Todd Gurley, basically, for most of the playoff run, and not as good a defense. And they went farther than us. So be careful, because I know how to design this a different way in terms of architecture that gets us maybe even farther than we've been. So we may think top 10 defense. Oh, God, we got all this passing game now coming with Amari Cooper and you. But what did it get us? It got us short of a team that had less and went farther. So I think he's just reminding him of what this landscape looks like currently, and maybe you got to fit in accordingly.
He is, but if I'm Ezekiel Elliott, I'm not budging either, because we haven't been proven that we can do it offensively without me on the football field.
That's real.
So, I mean, all these analogies and the comparisons, they are great until you look at their passing games and see how effective they've been without their main running back.
I will tell you, like, you look at the way they're built, they're constructed to run the ball. They got a big bruising, I mean, filthy, dirty offensive line, get smash mouth people. And oh, by the way, yeah, you know what? You don't have to have a rushing champion to win a Super Bowl. You're right, Jerry. You don't. You know what else you don't need? An elite wide receiver. Sorry, Greg. But the New England Patriots do it every year.
Of course.
They don't have a big-time X out there. You know, they don't have a big-time Z. They run it. They a little slot guy that makes plays.
I'm a broken record on this topic, and so I'm going to play the song for the guy that's come back this week after a break. I think all of Dallas's contract drama centers on Dak Prescott. It's Dak's desire to get $30+ million a year is at the heart of all the dysfunction. If they could get that dude to $27 million, I think all these problems will go away.
I agree, but I don't know if Dak Prescott is really willing to do that because of the guys that are getting paid around him that, honestly, they haven't won like he's won. And they're not under
He hasn't played like they've played.
You're right.
Is it right?
You're right, which is why they're trying to get him to take less. But if you're a player, I don't care. Stats,
you know how you get him to take less? You have this conversation last year before camp. Why he still has another year. Like, you need to be proactive when you're negotiating with guys. If you mark a guy and say, that's our guy, we know what he's going to be, it may take a while to get there, then you damn well better be willing to pay him at that point, because that's when you get the hometown discount. You let him get to this point, why would you take it? You're like, I'm already at the end. I'm going to gamble on myself. I'll play well. And guess what? Then I'll be a free agent. They'll have to franchise me.
There is one thing that if I'm Ezekiel Elliott in Mexico right now, I'm going to remind this franchise that in its history, never did it have 3 straight games with 10 or fewer points until he got suspended a couple of years ago. So think about it. The Dallas Cowboys, all those offenses, all those years, high points, low points. Ezekiel got suspended the first 3 games. They couldn't even score 10 points. That's the first time it ever happened in their history.
All right, coming up, Kyler Murray says he wants to model his game after Michael Vick. Well, Vick himself will be here to tell us what he thinks of Kyler's plan. Next!